Hi, Pastor Mike here of Christ Church Godeland. In this Bible talk, I want to go over biblical history. What are the different time periods that are actually being described here? We start off with what's called the antediluvian world. Maybe you played poker before and you had to ante up. That's the amount you put in before you have your betting, your game, and everything. So the antediluvian world is the period of time before the flood. This concerns the time period from Genesis chapter 1 through around Genesis chapter 8. It includes the creation and the flood and a little bit with the Tower of Babel. The patriarchal period starts with God speaking to Abraham around 2150 BC through 1850 BC, from Genesis chapter 9 through Exodus chapter 1, and the story of the book of Job is also from this time. This is Abraham through Joseph. The Exodus is next from 1446 to 1406 BC, Exodus chapter 2 through the book of Deuteronomy. This is Moses, the Ten Commandments, and 40 years of wandering around in the desert. Following that comes the conquest and the judges from 1406 to 1050 BC, Joshua through 1 Samuel chapter 8. This is Joshua, then about 356 years or so of tribal alliance, and you'll see a cycle of sin, oppression, repentance, and deliverance, especially through the book of Judges. This also includes the book of Ruth as well. In 1050 BC, the people of Israel request a king, and so God provides a king, King Saul. We also have the kingdoms of David and Solomon. This is 1 Samuel chapter 9 through 1 Kings chapter 11, 1 Chronicles through 2 Chronicles chapter 9. Then we have Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and the Song of Songs, basically the rest of the wisdom literature written around during this time. The divided kingdom happens from 930 BC to 722 BC. This is 1 Kings chapter 12 through 2 Kings, and then 2 Chronicles chapter 10 through chapter 28, and then Isaiah, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, and Micah. The 10 northern tribes split off from Solomon's son Rehoboam. Judah and Benjamin remain faithful as the two southern tribes. Israel sets up an alternative religious sites at Dan and Bethel, leading to paganism. And then we also have the prophets of Elijah and Elisha during this time. The kingdom of Judah, standing by itself, began in 722 BC when Sennacherib besieged Israel and took the 10 northern tribes away into Israel. So this goes from around 722 BC to 586 BC, about a 136-year time frame. From 2 Kings chapter 18 through chapter 25, 2 Chronicles chapter 28 through chapter 36, verse 21, prophets of Jeremiah, Nahum, Habakkuk, and Zephaniah also during this time. The Babylonian captivity goes from 586 to around 516 BC. The books of Lamentations, 2 Chronicles chapter 36, verses 22 and 23, just a very little window there. And then the books of Ezekiel and Daniel are also written during this time. Nebuchadnezzar lays siege to Jerusalem. He breaks down the walls, burns the temple, and carries the people away into captivity. And in this time period, God purges the people of idolatry and gives the land rest for 70 years. The post-exilic period begins around 516 to 400 BC. These are the works of Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, the prophets Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. The Babylonian Empire fell to the Medo-Persians, and then King Cyrus of Persia released the captives with an order in 516 BC, allowing them to begin the process of returning. Ezra helps to rebuild the temple, and Nehemiah helps to rebuild the walls. After that, we have what's called the intertestamental period. This is the 400 years of silence from about 400 BC to around 3 BC or so. The books of 1st and 2nd Maccabees tell the story during this time. It's following the conquest of Alexander the Great. Judah is fought over between the successors of Alexander, between the Seleucids in Syria and the Ptolemies in Egypt. There's the Hasmonean revolt that the Maccabees are famous for, and then eventually Herod goes and solicits help from Rome. He gets help, and then Rome comes in and kind of takes over and establishes the Herodian line, or the Herodian dynasty. Herod also rebuilds the temple again, creating the third temple, or Herod's temple. Finally, we come to the New Testament. This starts around 3 BC with the announcement of the birth of Christ, and it carries on through around AD 96 or so when the last book, Revelation, was written. This is the entirety of the New Testament from Matthew to Revelation. We have the birth, life, teaching, death, and resurrection of Jesus. We have the establishment and spread of the church, particularly with the Apostle Paul, who leads 3 missionary journeys all around the Roman Empire, and then finally a voyage to Rome. And then we have Jerusalem being besieged by the Roman army around AD 70 by Titus Vespasian, and then the temple is razed to the ground. And that kind of concludes biblical history. So there's a quick overview for you. Until next time, happy reading.